Okay, so now let's talk about your first big fat break, which would have to be Wild Party.
Yes.
So, actually, first talk about how you met Andrew Lippa, the composer.
My darling. I met him at an audition for a show called Snapshots that was really, I think, a Mamma Mia type show before Mamma Mia.
It was jukebox musical.
Yes. Well, yes. And it was a Stephen Schwartz compendium.
Stephen Schwartz wrote Wicked and Pippin.
Himself. And
by the way, we're sitting here with Julia Murney, who's starring in the Stephen Schwartz show Wicked, going on a national tour soon. Go on, Julia.
It's true. And I went, and it was sort of one of those happenstance things. I only got the audition because I knew the director, and I went in, and Stephen was there, and Andrew Lippa was the music director.
So he was playing the piano?
No, he was watching. There was someone else at the piano, and I sang my audition, and as Andrew likes to tell the tale, he had just begun writing Wild Party, and after I sang my song, he had written on his pad, "Who is she?" ? Queenie? ?
That's the lead part in Wild Party.
And then I finished, and Stephen Schwartz said, "Do you know Meadowlark?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't have it with me." And no one had it, but Andrew had just played keyboard for Patti LuPone on Broadway.
Yes.
So Schwartz turned to Andrew and said, "Andrew," and Andrew got up, no sheet music, and fully played it.
And then you sang it.
And I sang it, and we say it was like we had sex. Because we finished, and we looked at each other. I was like, he goes, "Who are you?" I was like, "Who are you?" And we paid no attention to anyone behind the table and just fell in love with each other, and I got the job. But it was one of those things where the job didn't start for a month and a half or something. And right before we began, he called me. He said, "Do you remember me?" I'm Andrew Lippa. And I said, "Yes." And he said, "We're doing sort of a reading of what I have so far of this new musical of mine. Would you come and do the reading?" And I said, "Sure." And it was the Wild Party, and I played May, who...
Not Queenie?
No, sir. And I was, May at the time wasn't the character she became. She was just a character from the poem. And my big solo was, "He was comical as hell." Thank you. And
Wait, it was a love fest. I fell in love with my voice and gave you 4
well,
notes.
you know, whatever. That's, I didn't care. I was like, bring it. And then, but then from then on, while we were working on the show, he said to me, "I want you to try Queenie someday." And it went to the O'Neill, which is this place in Connecticut where they workshop new shows. And they were very kind and asked me to do it. And we worked on it for 4.5 years.
Well, here's the deal. Let's first talk about the song "Raise the Roof." So, "Raise the Roof" was written originally not for your character, right? Or was it first for your character and then got moved away?
"Raise the Roof" was originally written for Kate, actually.
Who I saw played by Sara Ramirez.
Yes, you did.
The Lady of the Lake from Spamalot who won the Tony. So when I saw it first, when it was a workshop only.
It was the one time I was not involved with the show.
Right, you weren't involved.
That's right.
When I saw it, Maren Maisie was playing Julia's part. So it was Maren Maisie playing Queenie, and Sara Ramirez was singing "Raise the Roof." And then, because they thought you weren't a big enough name, I guess, to do the workshop? Who knows? Maren Maisie was certainly a much bigger name back then, and she was blonde. And Julia's not blonde. At least she wasn't then. Now she's looking a lot more blonde.
Except
anyway,
for these roots.
Well, yeah, whatever.
Thank God it's radio.
Exactly. You have a face for radio. So it was when Maren Maisie was doing it. Sara Ramirez sang "Raise the Roof." Then it finally, now what happened? After they did that workshop, they called you and they were like, "Turns out we do want you to play the role."
Oh, no. They called me and they were like, "Turns out we'd like you to audition again." Yeah. So.
And you said yes. You weren't like, "How dare you?"
You know what? They asked me. They made me audition for the workshop. I was like, "How dare you?" But I went in anyway with this giant chip on my shoulder, which did not help me. And by the time they called me again, I had let it go. I was like, "I'm never going to play this role." And Kristen Chenoweth, who was May, when we did it at the O'Neill.
Oh.
Christy was like,
"It's not over. I don't think it's over. No, you just hold on. You hold on. It's not done."
And I was like, I don't know. And they called me and they said, "Would you come back in?" And at that point, someone said, "Well, what do you do if you audition and you don't get it?" I said, "It's already happened." Well,
interesting.
If it had been a different show, I might have been like, "No, you know what I do. I'm done with you." It meant so much to me that I had to know I had done everything I could to try.
And what did you do for your audition?
Gosh, what did they have me sing?
Like from the show?
Yeah, it was something from the show. Was it "How Did We Come to This?" or maybe "I Like It This Way"? It could have been something that was subsequently cut. I mean, literally, we could make an album of this really brilliant songs that were cut.
I know, because that's on a workshop.
One of which is on my album, so.
Which is coming, what was the coming?
I know,
Okay.
I'm just...
Let me first play "Raise the Roof." So this is "Raise the Roof," which is the first sort of sassy song where you really get to let loose in the show, I think. And I'm obsessed with so many different moments. Well, first of all, Andrew Lippa's favorite moment is at the end when you go, "So put away that smoking gun." Nah. Now, do you actually make gun into two-syllable word because you think it's sassy, or it just happened that way?
No, it was sort of out of the choreography. It was like this big sweep with a gun hand, like kind of all the way across the. And I don't know why it happened, but it was sort of like the gun going. I don't know. I don't know what the hell it was.
I love that clash. Oh, it's so cool.